Well, howdy everybody, this is RverMill47 from Dallas, Texas, making this video on June the 8th, 2011. It is 11:26 Central Time here in Dallas, Texas. First, we're going to take a look at the water vapor satellite. This is courtesy of the College of DuPage, their next lab, which if you want weather information, this is one of the best places to check it out. They have a good variety, and it's usually up to date. Excuse me. Anyway, on water vapor, which I usually like to look at because it shows me where the major features are as far as upper level storm systems and how things are moving. And again, I see just kind of a blocky summer type pattern. We see a lot of decent tropical moisture moving in here in the northern parts of the Gulf. We do see some even more moisture coming up out of the Caribbean and coming across and then getting enveloped into this what's called a TUT low. TUT stands for, let me see, Tropical Upper Tropospheric Trough. Isn't that great? TUT, haha. Anyway, you learn something new every day. Anyway, it's an upper level low with a lot of deep tropical moisture in it. That moisture is also being sucked up into another storm system that's beginning to head towards the northeast, and I believe we're going to see probably a severe weather outbreak probably beginning tomorrow. There could be some today and across some areas, but tomorrow and Friday may be some interesting days from probably Iowa all the way to Maine. And I'll show you a severe weather outlook here in just a second, but it's interesting that we might actually see some tornadoes in Maine. So crazy weather continues, but mainly across the northern tier and then along the eastern seaboard, just because of this intense heat and this intense moisture that continues to hang up here. Another upper level low coming on the west coast, but not moving very fast. As you can see, it's not trying to come across. So again, I'm stuck down here where it's just hot and humid and no chances of rain, hardly at all. So it's not any fun down here in Texas. It's just hot. It already feels like it should be August, and it's not. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, this is the day one convective outlook. In other words, severe thunderstorms, or there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms, making it 2 severe stages in the yellow shaded areas. Again, this is for today. Green shade is generally where thunderstorms are possible. Again, this is today's, so there's the slight risk of going on, but let's look at tomorrow's. Okay, this is the day 2 convective outlook for tomorrow, Thursday, June the 9th. And again, back here from Nebraska and Iowa all the way into Maine, we're going to see a line of an area of potentially severe thunderstorms. And again, some of the parameters suggest that we might see again tornadoes up in Maine, some areas of Maine, which of course will definitely make the news because you don't see tornadoes that often in Maine. I mean, it's not like unheard of it that tornadoes happen in every state, but we just don't hear of them that often up there. So I'm sure if one happens, it's going to be all over the news, you know how that goes. But anyway, that's just an area to watch. Some interesting weather popping up here and there. So y'all have fun in the interesting weather up here while I sit down here and be really bored. Okay, moving on to HAARP. Here's the induction magnetometer from Gakona, Alaska, the HAARP facility there in Alaska. It actually finally shows up now here where we started having some geomagnetic activity from some of the coronal mass ejections that happened over the weekend that are finally making it to Earth. We've had some minor storming, of course. Again, all these horizontal lines, it's interference. I don't know. That started several days ago and continues, and I have no idea why those are there, but they are consistently there. We see the occasional burst in the 1.75 hertz range, which we normally see on here, and but it's just kind of on and off. And again, this could be affected a lot by what's going on with the our space Earth weather connection right now. But again, we see this reacting now to geomagnetic interference from the solar weather and a couple of the CMEs, coronal mass ejections, that have impacted the Earth's magnetosphere. Now, our proton storm is finally dropping off, settling off. In fact, it should drop below alert parameters today. We still have elevated solar protons. In other words, the S1 solar radiation storm will probably be ended today, provided we don't get another flare that pops it up again. But as this drops below the 10 to the power 1 line here, that will end the S1 radiation storm. But again, we still will see elevated protons for at least another probably 12 to 24 hours anyway, and they will continue to drop off. Again, remember, they were elevated prior to the proton flare, so we'll just keep an eye on it. That affects several different things, solar radiation storms. Look it up at the NOAA weather scale, so you can look up and see what an S1 radiation storm does. Just Google it and you'd be able to find that really quick. So again, there's a quick look at showing that the protons are beginning to drop off. Here's the K-index, planetary K-index, again, which takes the last 3 hours of information and then forms an index. And anytime it's greater than 4, we go into minor geomagnetic storms. So right after 7 o'clock Central last night, we experienced a low geomagnetic storm, which again was showing up on the HAARP magnetometer I just showed you. And it stayed elevated for a little while, and now we've gone back into green, which is the lower K indices. A little elevated here in the last update that we had. So again, geomagnetic activity is up and down. I expect it to be probably throughout this weekend to be on and off, because we still have a couple of coronal mass ejections that are still earthbound that will probably affect us. And last but not least, easy for you to say, here's a look at the solar wind parameters. And again, we see, I'll look at the BZ component, the red line here. Anytime it's below 0, a negative number, which indicates a southward orientation, the orientation of the magnetic wind, the solar wind that's hitting the Earth. When it stays south, we have a tendency to get geomagnetic storming, and as you can see, it was pretty much south that correlates with the chart I just showed you previously when we made it into the K-index of 4. So it stayed south here. We do have some data drops, so that's a number of things can cause that. So no speculation there, just you get some data drops, or sometimes it's just that with this solar proton storm going on, occasionally it can mess up with the receptors and all that on the satellites. The solar wind speed has been maintaining along at around about just below 500 kilometers per second. Looks like we had a jump starting this morning closer to 600, and it's maintained that. So if that maintains the higher speed, and we keep the red under 0, we'll probably see that the K-index will begin to rise again, and we should see some either sub-geomagnetic storming, or actually maybe even some back up to the K-index of 4. So there you have it. I tried to do a quick one, and what I do, almost 9 minutes again. I just can't not talk, I guess. Anyway, that's a quick look at what I call man versus nature. And it's really nature versus man, but we'll just see what happens. Again, things to look out for. Tomorrow, let's see if there's any tornadoes in Maine. It'll be quite interesting, because if there is, you'll certainly hear it on the news, let me tell you. Everybody, y'all have a good one.